Hello and welcome to a special webinar event with our special guest, Cesar Balco from Wealthcasa. Wealthcasa is a new client for Texture. We're working with them on their $75 million Reg A Plus offering, which has been qualified by the SEC and is now available for investments. Welcome, Cesar. Really looking forward to having you on this webinar.
Thank you, Richard. I really appreciate you having me on today and talking about the exciting opportunity with Wealthcasa.
Great. Now, I've got to know you a bit over the last few months. You're a successful real estate developer in Canada, and you've had a number of projects there. Wealthcast is a new initiative for you. And before we get to that, why don't you kind of fill us in on your background and what your area of focus is in the real estate space?
Sure. I started my company here in Canada, Centerville Homes, about 18 years ago from the ground up, focused on infill developments, such as single-family homes, multi-family homes, both as a land developer and as a new home builder. I have a great team around me that enables us to create communities that we can be proud of for years to come. We are now developing just under 1,000 units from luxury single homes to condominium buildings and apartments.
Great. And you're very much focused on the residential space, correct?
Primarily, our focus is in the residential sector, yes.
Yeah. And now with the Reg A offering, you're looking to move into the United States, take your experience into the US. For the audience out there, if in case they don't know about Reg A, it's a relatively new type of offering. It's been around less than a decade. It's sometimes called Reg A Plus because it's new and exciting. And it basically allows folks like Caesar and other private companies to sell securities to retail investors through a slightly different registration process. It's not a full S1. Caesar, has had to go through what's called he's had to file a Form 1A, and that gets reviewed by the SEC and qualified. So there's an extra review process there. They're not endorsing it in any way, but it's a special kind of diligence that they do. We're supporting that raise. We can take retail investors in. So the investment minimum is is it $100, Cesar? I can't remember.
Yes, as low as $100. Yes.
So as low as $100, retail investors can come into it. You can access it at wealthcasa.com. We'll share the links in the social posts here. But why don't you tell us a bit about why you decided to pursue this strategy for your next endeavor?
So when the Reg A Plus was brought to my attention, I thought right away, oh, this is a great opportunity, to raise funds, to acquire lands and opportunities in the U.S. And the idea of Wealthcasa was formed primarily on that basis. But as we started to evolve what we want Wealthcasa to be and what we want it to become, we really started to change on how we looked at our fund. And basically, we looked at that this could be an opportunity for accredited and non-accredited investors to be able to be a partner with us right from the ground level. So from there, we said this could help the everyday ordinary person to start investing in real estate and help them push their ability to get into either the housing market or help them with creating their own wealth.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I think, there are a lot of folks who are, they may not have enough money for a down payment, especially if they live in a large metropolitan area, for a down payment on a house, but they could afford to put, $1,000, $2,000 or something into the Wealthcasa fund and potentially get some, good capital appreciation there. And what markets are you targeting in the US? Tell us about that.
So we've been looking at various states throughout the US, and the ones that we felt that we wanted to target are the state of Florida, Tennessee, and California. With these states, we were able to find that there's a lot of growth potential in those states. There's stability for work, for housing, reasonable pricing in those states, and the land opportunities for us to be able to purchase developments that we've been looking at, we feel that there's great value there.
Yeah, and you purchased, you build, you mentioned earlier, but it's clever. You build from the ground up, so you're not doing fix and flips. You're building brand new developments, starting with the land. Is that right?
That is correct. Our strength is creating communities from the ground up.
Yeah. Now, what about you hear a lot of things about the terrible real estate market that's out there. What's your kind of response to that?
Well, it has not been easy with interest rates going up in the past year, whether I think you were in Canada or the USA, it has not been easy. But we've been looking at the long term range here, and we feel that now is the opportunity for us to go in and purchase developments, purchase lands at prices that are far more reasonable than when the market is heated and you're competing with a lot of other buyers. So we feel that if we are well positioned with funds, that we can take advantage of that market. And a lot of our product that we're looking at, that eventually when these developments will be ready for occupancy, we anticipate that the interest rates will be at a lower level and will make the opportunity for buyers to afford these homes.
Yeah, so actually, as we're sitting here, we're recording this. The Fed came out yesterday and said that they're going to keep rates as they are for now, and there has been very positive job numbers coming out this morning here in the US. So I think the situation is certainly much better than it was maybe a year ago. So the interest rates, they're not coming down yet, but they're not going up. And at the same time, we have a strong economy, which should be good, for house prices. What one might think. In fact, I'm looking at something here, a report by it's on a quote from an economist here saying there's just not enough homes to meet demand, and that's something that we hear a lot about as well. With the growing population in the US, and there is a housing shortage, which is what's been keeping these prices high. Yeah, is that something? Is that kind of why you're targeting these markets you mentioned?
Uh, yes, that particularly, there's been a lot of immigration to those markets, and it's from moving from all over the U.S. and we feel that those markets there, the affordability factor is still there, even though that over the years how housing prices have gone up, but still we feel that they are at an affordable level compared to other areas. And their increase in price has been relatively steady, so they have not jumped overnight to say that the prices are out of control.
Yeah, I just found the stat I was looking for. According to Freddie Mac, there's a shortage of homes in the US of about, what is it here, 3.8 million units of housing are short for both the sale and rent. So I think that's kind of the opportunity you're trying to tap into here.
Yes, absolutely. And being able to bring housing to the forefront a lot faster, with having the ability to move these developments further ahead without relying on having to deal with the banks, will actually help us finish these developments and bring housing to much needed Americans.
Yeah. What are you doing to help kind of the first time buyers or renters who are struggling to get on the property ladder, though?
So with first time buyers, by investing in Wealthcasa, it allows them the opportunity to increase their equity position through our investments, which gives them the ability to learn the process. A lot of first-time buyers don't know where to invest, where to buy. Should I be buying a house? So, we're basically doing all the heavy lifting for them and giving them this vehicle that they do invest with us, it will help them to create that equity. Not only that, as part of our you know our company profiles, that we allow our investors to buy into our developments as well. So we give them family and friends rates, which will be at a lower price than what we would offer, let's say, to the market. So this is also an initiative that could help, first-time home buyers, and also the affordability factor. If being able to go in now and purchase some of these lands at these lower prices that we're seeing today, gives us the ability to sell at a lower price. So that's kind of the outline that we see Wealthcasa being more of. Yes, we want to be a developer, we want to be profitable, but we want to be able also to provide housing for first-time home buyers.
Yeah, and you have a rent-to-own program, right?
So yes, our rent-to-own program, we'd like to incorporate that in many of our developments. We want to take a portion of the homes, and we'd like to offer on a rental basis to hopefully will turn renters into owners by taking a portion of their rental payments over the course of, we're looking at 5 years, and with the percentage of the rental payments that they've made, we will put it towards their down payment. If they choose not to purchase the home after, and they decide that they'll be moving on, we will also give them some profit participation as well once the unit's sold. So it's a win-win for us, for the renters, and possible homeowners.
Right. So let me get that straight. Someone's renting. So you're building a number of developments, and some of them are going to be rentals. And what's the average size of a development that you build? How many homes would that be?
So we're looking on a minimum 50 to 100 units per development, and they would typically be more on the multifamily, so townhomes or walk-up apartments
Yeah.
as our first initiative.
And they'd be like 2, 3 bedroom apartments, something like that.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you got like say 50 to 100 in a development, and then what portion of those are going to be rentals, and what portion of those are going to be owner occupied?
So if we were to take a development of about 100 units, we'd like to be able to sell 50 units as market units for sale, and then take the other 50 as part of our portfolio, and start as an initiative of 25 units as the rent to own, and 25 units as strictly rental stock that we'd like to keep for our fund, which also provides for the investors cash flow within our fund. And that would be a great initiative to see how this how will this evolve. We feel that it is something that will be successful only because there's so much need for it.
Yeah. And so just so 100 home development, 25, 50 sold, 25 rented, and another 25 or so are going to be rent to own is the plan. And so what that means, on the rent to own program, they're renting it, but a portion is going to a potential down payment. So if they choose to buy it, they've already, maybe after a year or something, they've got $10,000 already saved up, as it were. And then, but if they choose to sell it, that money would just become an equity position in the Wealthcasa fund. Is that how it works?
That is correct. If we choose, Wealthcasa chooses to sell the unit, then they will have an equity position in it. So they will give a portion of the upside.
Okay, great. Now you mentioned distributions here. Can you talk a bit more about the kind of the economics of the fund?
So we are offering a 8% annual payment to our investors, plus the investors, which are our partners, will also obtain 70% of profit participation. So if we look at it on a basis of 100%, 70% would go to our partner investors, and 30% would be sustained by Wealthcasa.
Right. So that 8%, that's what's called a preferred return. So basically, the first 8% of returns goes to the investor, and then after that, let's say there's let's say there's another 10%. 7%, another 7% will go to the investor, and then the 3% will go to Wealthcasa.
That is correct.
Is
And the
that how it works?
8% is paid quarterly. Yes. And the 8% is paid quarterly to the Wealthcasa partners.
Yeah, so you don't really make any money unless you're making at least 8% return. That's what it sounds like there.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Great, fantastic. So wanted to kind of talk about your modular homes. I know that's something you're thinking about. Um, how do you see that fitting in? It's kind of a new concept, but do you think there's a space for that in the U.S. market?
So I believe that there are a lot of, you might say, but there are a lot of modular home building companies already in the US, and some have been successful and some have not. The way we're looking at it is that when we look at the modular home space, there's an ability there to provide housing a lot faster as they are pre-built in the factory. And also in modular, we're looking at modular panels where a lot of the panels for the homes would be built in the factory and delivered to our site, which would enable us to build these homes a lot faster, more efficient, also cut some costs as well. And also they're environmentally much friendlier as to there's less waste produced on our sites. Further, we feel that we can actually create subdivisions with this type of product. And also, looking at the product that we've been introduced to, that a lot of them are being built to withstand a lot of the climate change issues that we're having, especially if you see throughout the US and in Canada. They're becoming more prevalent, and we feel that these type of homes could be a solution for affordability and for these changes that we're seeing.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see a lot of these innovations coming in, so-called prop tech, as it were. And yeah, I think if it helps make things more affordable and also greener, then that's got to be a good thing for everyone. So yeah, I think I'm going to let's keep us updated there if you do decide to move into that space, Caesar.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And one of the other things I just want to touch on is that, a lot of this housing could be used for homelessness, for veterans. We looked at projects that we'd like to look into providing homes for veterans, and also for workforce housing that we've seen that there's a big demand for that in communities outside of the major metropolitan cities.
Interesting. Yeah, it touches into all the other areas of the housing shortage.
Correct, yes.
Is there anything else you'd like to touch on, Caesar?
Other than that, we're excited that for 2024, we think that 2024 is a turning point in the housing sector. A lot of interesting things are going to be happening this year with elections, and we feel that we're well positioned to move forward and hopefully create an impact for our partners and for the housing industry.
Perfect. Yeah. Great. So just to reiterate, you can learn more about the offering at Caesar's website, wealthcasa.com. You can also find it at our website, www.texture.capital. And you can find there the pitch deck and the offering memorandum and all that other great stuff. If you want to learn more about it, feel free to reach out to me or to Caesar. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Richard.